The night sky over Earth burned with unfamiliar light. Citizens across continents looked up as thin streaks of flame cut through the heavens, each one a ship entering orbit. The Ithari Dominion had arrived. To the aliens, it was just another conquest. To humanity, it was the greatest challenge in centuries. Commander Helena Varga stood on the observation deck of Fortress 1, Earth's largest orbital defense station. The chamber hummed with activity, officers at their consoles, tactical maps glowing across the walls, every display charting the invasion in real time. Helena's hands gripped the railing as the fleet formation expanded across the projection. More than 200 vessels. Carriers. Cruisers. Siege craft. She drew in a steady breath. Open the secure channel. I want every command node patched in. The comm officer glanced up. You'll be addressing half the planet, Commander. Good, Helena said. They need to hear the truth. The screen flared to life, transmitting her face to bunkers, war rooms, and resistance cells scattered across the globe. She didn't waste words. This is Varga. The Ithari are in orbit. Their numbers are overwhelming, but their arrogance is our weapon. They believe Earth is undefended. They believe wrong. Activate all orbital platforms. Prepare every countermeasure. And remember, this is our home. Fight like it. Her voice echoed into silence before the comms snapped off. Around her, the room shifted into furious motion. Far beyond Earth's orbit, on the bridge of the Dominion flagship Bloodfang, Overlord Koresh studied the blue sphere below. His eyes, cold and slit-pupilled, flicked across the tactical reports. Primitive defenses, he said, voice dripping contempt. They scatter guns in orbit as children scatter stones. Crush them. One of his aides, a younger officer with scales still bright from youth, bowed. As you command. But their resolve. Resolve does not stop plasma fire. Koresh interrupted. Earth will burn, and when it does, the rest of humanity will fall in line. Back on Fortress 1, alarms screamed as the first wave of Ithari ships cut through the upper atmosphere. Helena barked orders without hesitation. Grid Alpha, fire sequence. Target their forward cruisers. Make them earn every kilometer. Lances of energy erupted from hidden satellites, ripping into the alien vanguard. One cruiser disintegrated in a flash, scattering fragments that flared against the upper sky. Another limped, hull breached, venting atmosphere. The command deck erupted in cheers before Helena cut them short. Focus. They'll adapt quickly. We need to hit harder before they regain formation. The aliens did adapt. The next barrage from their capital ships shattered 2 orbital platforms, sending debris spinning toward the ocean below. The decks shook under the impact as Fortress 1 absorbed a glancing strike. Damage report. Shields at 60%. Structural integrity stable. Helena nodded once. Hold steady. Redirect secondary batteries. Force them into our kill zone. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Rafik, leaned closer. His face was pale but his voice steady. Commander, if they push through the cities. They won't. Helena cut in. Not today. Down on the surface, in the streets of Nairobi, New Berlin, Sao Paulo, people huddled in shelters while defense sirens wailed. Yet even in fear, there was a grim pride. They knew their soldiers above fought not just with weapons, but with the stubbornness that had carried humanity through centuries of disaster. Koresh's claws drummed against his chair. Reports flooded in, losses that should not have been possible against a backwater planet. His aides stammered through the figures until Koresh's hiss silenced him. Explain to me, Koresh growled, how a primitive species with outdated technology destroys Dominion warships. No one answered. Helena listened to the alien comms intercepted by Earth's intelligence net. Their frustration seeped through the static. She allowed herself the briefest smile. They underestimated us, she murmured. Then louder. Launch the decoys. Make them chase ghosts while we reposition. Swarms of drones scattered from the station, each projecting false signatures. Alien fire chased the illusions, leaving real defenses free to strike. Plasma bolts tore into the Dominion formation, cracking another warship apart. Lieutenant Rafik exhaled. That's 3 they've lost. They'll lose more before this ends, Helena said. But don't get comfortable. This is only the opening move. Hours stretched into a rhythm of strikes and counterstrikes. Earth's orbit blazed with wreckage, satellites colliding in fiery arcs. Helena never left the command deck. Every decision carried lives in its balance. Finally, as dawn broke over the Pacific, Koresh opened a direct channel. His image flickered into being, a towering reptilian form, armored in black and crimson. His voice was low and full of venom. Human Commander, you delay the inevitable. Surrender Earth and I may spare a fraction of your kind. Helena stared at the transmission, her face hard as stone. You've already made your mistake, Koresh. And what is that? He sneered. You brought the fight to our home. Silence hung for a moment before she cut the channel. Around her, officers straightened with renewed resolve. Rafik whispered, almost to himself. He has no idea what he's walked into. Helena's eyes remained locked on the star map where Earth glowed at the center, ringed by fire. No idea at all. The first day of battle closed with no victor declared, but one truth was clear: Earth had not fallen. And for the first time, Koresh realized this war would not be won by numbers alone. The Draxan cruiser Vengeance floated above the planet like a blade poised to strike again. Inside, the air was taut with failure. General Korath stood at the command deck, staring at the tactical feed. The lines of red markers, representing Draxan squads, kept vanishing one after another. Report, his voice rumbled. Sitha, his second-in-command, bowed her head slightly before speaking. Another patrol eliminated in the ruins of New York. 32 warriors lost. No human prisoners, no bodies recovered. Koratha's mandibles twitched in irritation. You're telling me they simply vanished? They strike from beneath the ruins and slip away before reinforcements arrive. Our forces are being bled in 1,000 small cuts. Koratha's claws dug into the railing. They are primitives. Their technology is centuries behind ours. This defiance should have ended weeks ago. Sitha's crest shivered. Yet it hasn't, General. And their resistance grows bolder each day. Beneath Washington, D.C., far below the city's shattered skyline, Colonel Elias Ward studied the glowing projection of enemy patrols. The map shimmered across the rough bunker wall, its faint light flickering against damp concrete. Look here, he said, pointing at the densest cluster of red icons. They're tightening their hold on the Pentagon ruins. That hub is their communication spine in this sector. Sergeant Ramirez leaned against a cracked pillar, rifle across his chest. Sir, that's a fortress. We hit it, and we'll have the entire sky raining fire on us. Ward didn't look up. Then we hit it and vanish before they know what happened. Cut their spine, they stumble. And every stumble gives us room to breathe. From the back of the room, a woman stepped forward. Lena, no uniform, no insignia, but her presence carried weight. Civilians had come to trust her more than any soldier. She slid a battered satchel onto the table. I've mapped their supply runs, she said. Every convoy passes through Memorial Bridge before reaching the Pentagon. Hit the bridge, you starve the hub. Ward studied her notes, hand-drawn sketches layered over satellite images stolen from enemy feeds. He met her gaze and gave a curt nod. You've done more for us than half my officers, she replied evenly. I'm not here for thanks. I'm here because my family didn't survive their bombardment. I'll see them pay. Ramirez muttered. That's the spirit. But the humor in his tone couldn't hide the weight in his eyes. The night strike. Hours later, under a moonless sky, Ward's strike team crawled through the ruins near the bridge. The city was silent except for the distant hum of Draxan engines. Charred cars lay overturned along cracked asphalt, their shadows long and jagged. Positions, Ward whispered into his radio. Shapes peeled off into the dark, men and women armed with scavenged rifles, homemade charges, and stolen alien blades. The first convoy appeared as a line of armored transports, lights sweeping the rubble. Alien silhouettes marched at the flanks, rifles glowing with unnatural energy. Ward's hand tightened around the detonator. He waited, every muscle coiled. Now! The bridge erupted. Flames shot into the night as explosives ripped through its steel bones. 2 transports collapsed into the river below, twisted metal shrieking as they fell. Soldiers opened fire, bullets sparking against alien armor. The Draxans answered with searing plasma bolts, lighting the night blue-white. Humans darted through shadows, striking from all sides, vanishing between blasts. "Ramirez, left flank!" Ward shouted, his voice sharp above the chaos. "On it!" Ramirez hurled a charge into an advancing squad. The blast lit the sky, hurling aliens in every direction. Within minutes, the ambush was done. Smoke curled into the night, and the survivors of Ward's team melted back into the ruins. By the time reinforcements arrived, only wreckage remained. Aboard the Vengeance. "Impossible!" Korath slammed his claw against the display. "That hub was untouchable," Sitha answered carefully. "Yet their strike crippled it. Supply lines severed, convoys destroyed. They knew exactly where to hit." The general's eyes narrowed. "They are learning. Fast." He turned to the projection of Earth, battered yet unbroken. "They twist the terrain, their ruins, even their losses into weapons. I thought conquest would be simple. But this is no conquest. This is war, and we are bleeding for every step." Beneath the city again. The bunker roared with restrained celebration. Resistance fighters clapped one another on the back, laughter breaking through weeks of silence. Children hiding among the civilians whispered with wide eyes, hope shining in the dark. Ramirez dropped a dented Draxan helmet onto the table. "That's 2 convoys in as many weeks. Maybe they'll start realizing Earth doesn't belong to them." Ward's expression remained grave. "Don't let victory blind us. Every strike will bring harsher reprisals. They'll burn whole districts if they have to." Lena, standing nearby, spoke quietly but firmly. "And when they do, more people will join us. Every act of cruelty adds fuel to the fire." Ward studied her, then nodded. "Then we'll keep that fire burning." Closing scene. In orbit, Korath stood alone, staring at Earth's horizon. Blue seas glimmered beyond scarred continents, the planet refusing to bow. His claws clenched. He had never known fear of a lesser species, yet something deep inside stirred, an unease he couldn't shake. Far below, in the ruins of his own capital, Ward gazed at the same horizon through a shattered skylight. Dirt streaked his face, but his eyes held steady resolve. He knew the war was only beginning. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity believed it could win. And belief was more dangerous than any weapon. The ruins of Washington trembled as thunder rolled, not from storms, but from the endless engines of the Vengeance. The Draxan flagship had descended low into the atmosphere, casting a shadow that swallowed whole districts. To the survivors below, it was as if the sky itself had grown teeth. Inside a half-collapsed subway station, Colonel Ward gathered his lieutenants around the flickering holomap. "We can't keep this up forever," he admitted, his voice low but firm. "They've pulled their flagship into range. That means they're desperate, but also dangerous. One strike too bold, and they'll level the whole city." Ramirez spat into the dust. "They've been leveling cities since day one. What's one more?" Lena leaned forward, eyes steady on Ward. "If their flagship is within atmosphere, it's vulnerable. It was built for orbit, not close air. If we hit it hard enough, even a scratch might force them to retreat." Ward studied her face, seeing the same mix of rage and resolve that had carried them this far. "You're suggesting we attack their flagship." "Not suggest," she said evenly. "I'm saying it's the only way Earth survives." Aboard the Vengeance. General Korath stood before the War Council, his patience unraveling thread by thread. "These humans are not warriors, they are ghosts with rifles. They bleed us with every step. I want this city gone. Burn it." Sitha shifted uneasily. "General, orbital bombardment at this altitude risks damaging the flagship." Atmospheric resistance strains the core. Koratha's mandibles clicked. You presume to lecture me on war? Her gaze met his without flinching. I presume to warn you of underestimating them. We thought them primitive. Yet their defiance has cost us more than entire campaigns. If they strike us here, they won't, he snapped, though the flicker in his eyes betrayed doubt. The plan. Ward gathered his fighters in the dim tunnel. We'll use the storm drains to get under them all. From there, we rig the old power grid. The detonation will arc straight into their ship's belly if we time it with their energy discharge. A murmur rippled through the room. Suicide mission. No one needed to say it. Ramirez broke the silence with a grin. Well, hell. Always wanted to make history. Lena placed a hand on the satchel she never set down. If we fail, we fall. But if we succeed, the world rises. Ward's eyes swept across his ragged soldiers, farmers, students, veterans, children turned fighters. They had no medals, no uniforms, but they carried something far heavier. Hope. Then it's settled, he said. We bring the giant down. The strike. Night cloaked the ruins in silence. The team crawled through storm drains, water sloshing around their boots. Rats scattered ahead, the only witnesses to humanity's gamble. Ward led from the front, every sense on edge. The tunnel opened into the cracked foundation beneath the National Mall. Above, the Vengeance loomed like a mountain of steel blotting out the stars. Ramirez planted the first charge along a rusted conduit. Sparks flickered as wires bit into alien tech scavenged from earlier raids. Fuse is live. When their cannons fire, we send the current straight into their core. Above, the ground shook. A low hum built in the air, the sound of the flagship's main cannon warming. Ward's voice dropped to a whisper. Positions. On my mark. Lena closed her eyes, clutching the detonator. For a heartbeat, she thought of her family, faces blurred by time and ash. Then she opened them, hard as steel. Mark. The city lit up as the Draxan cannon fired. At the same instant, the charges below surged, electricity ripping through ancient conduits and into the ship's belly. For a moment, silence. Then the sky cracked open. A column of fire tore from the flagship's undercarriage, explosions chaining across its hull. Metal screamed as the Vengeance listed, trying to claw back into orbit. But gravity held it fast, dragging the Titan earthward. The fall. From every ruin, every bunker, humans poured into the streets to watch. The flagship that had blotted out their skies now burned like a falling star. Its engines howled, splitting apart as it plummeted. Ramirez whooped. We actually did it! Ward pulled him down. Don't celebrate yet. Get clear! The ground heaved as the Vengeance slammed into the Potomac, a shockwave rolling through the city. Water erupted, swallowing whole blocks, but the Titan was broken, its hull split, flames licking across twisted alien steel. For the first time since the invasion began, silence followed not from death, but victory. Aftermath. Smoke coiled over the wreckage. Ward limped through rubble, blood streaking his forehead, but his eyes were alive. Survivors gathered around him, their cheers ragged but unstoppable. Lena stood at his side, face lit by the fires of the fallen giant. They'll send more, she said. Ward nodded. But now the galaxy knows, Earth doesn't kneel. Aboard the wreck. Inside the shattered command deck, Korath dragged himself upright, armor cracked, ichor dripping from his side. He stared through a fractured viewport at the burning city. They were supposed to break, he muttered. Sitha, bloody but alive, looked at him with something close to awe. Perhaps, General, it is we who never understood them. To fight humans on their homeworld. She let the thought hang. Korath closed his eyes, the truth gnawing at him. A mistake. A fatal one. Closing scene. Dawn broke over Washington, sunlight piercing smoke and ruin. Ward climbed atop a crumbled wall, raising the scorched Draxan banner in his hand before casting it to the ground. Around him, survivors roared, their voices echoing through the shattered capital. For centuries, humans had fought each other over borders and beliefs. But now, Under alien fire, they had found something stronger than division: defiance. And in that defiance lay the promise of victory.